Hello, guys, and welcome back to the No Ball Knowledge podcast. Today, we're going to be reviewing the World Cup final. Now, it's been a few days since then, but we wanted to give ourselves some time to, remove the emotions and try to just analyze the game for what it was. Yadel, I know you especially needed some time off and watching that terrible performance from Argentina. And leading up to the game, I talked about how you can give an analysis of a game, um, and it can go entirely different from when you analyze, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the thoughts that you had and the analysis you had of both teams is necessarily wrong. And I think that in this case, it really just came down to Scaloni having a game plan and having substitutions that did not make any sense and did not give his team a platform at all to even be remotely competitive in this game. So I just immediately want to get your thoughts on just the 11 that he chose to neutralize Spain, because the obvious problem that we knew that they were going to go have into it is the fact that you have a 39-year-old Messi that's not going to be able to press, that's not going to be able to help you with ball retention. So, we talked about there was only two solutions: either pack the midfield or give yourself a counter-attacking threat in behind. And the question that I have for you is, did he choose a starting 11 that addressed either of those particular issues?
Well, first of all, I want to say how nice you were calling what he did a game plan. I think that was very nice of you. I mean, are you family with him or something? Because if we're gonna call what he did a game plan, I mean, that is something. I mean, Javi, I think like you said, perfectly when it comes to either pack the midfield or just have guys that you could, like get on the counter. He didn't do either, which is which is kind of, I mean, that's why I'm saying like game plan. Like what was the like what was the plan here? I mean, everybody knew that Spain is the best team in the world when it comes to holding on to the ball, right? And you choose this one game to start without a natural, CDM, which is Amuch Paredes. Um, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, it gets to a point. I feel like we all had the question. I'm going into the game whether it was going to be Simeone or Nico Gonzalez starting. I never thought that, for example, Amada or somebody like that could come in because I felt like that just didn't really give you any sort of counter-attacking option. So I felt like the best way to go was, to go with three in the middle, like he did against England, and then have one of the, like one of Simeone and Nico Gonzalez just there because they're both honestly they're both fast and workhorses. It's not like they're your typical winger, they just run a lot and they kick a lot and they play good defense, right? But then he goes out there against this team, against the Rodri, who, by the way, I don't know if he knows, but maybe he should have tried marketing, right? This guy won a Ballon d'Or, he might win another one for crying out loud. And he goes out there without a natural defensive midfielder, somebody that could stick to him, somebody that could hold on to the ball. And we saw what happened. He didn't take a single shot during the whole game. Spain was just running circles around him, and it was just what you would call a tactical disaster class. And I want to ask you this, Javi: what would we be saying? What would the footballing community I'm be saying if instead of Scaloni and Argentina, this was done by Arteta and Arsenal or Simeone and Atletico Madrid? I mean,
Oh
we would be
my
asking for these
God.
guys to be. I mean, I
He
want to
would
give I
be
want like your opinion on this.
he would be absolutely destroyed. They would be getting absolutely destroyed, and the fact that this guy is not getting criticized is insane. Now, I'm a firm believer, right, that you can get a lineup wrong, you can get a game plan wrong, right, and you said very kind of so, but you then need to be able to adjust it. And when we did our analysis of this Argentina team, before the World Cup, we talked about how Scaloni's in-game management was absolutely terrible. He loses, Lisandro Martinez to injury, right? Starting center back in a World Cup final. And, this guy then decides to make a substitution that is basically like for like. He puts in Simeone for Nico Gonzalez, which you're basically asking him to do the exact same thing. Instead of just doing it on the left wing, you're doing it on the right wing, which isn't really addressing any of the major problems that you have either in midfield or in the counter attack, because you didn't touch the ball for the first 45 minutes. And then he takes off Montiel for Molina, a like for like substitution at right back. It's a you lost Lisandro, you lost Guti Romero, and you make two like for like substitutions. How does that make any sense? Where's the logic there? If you're in a World Cup final, right, you have five substitutions. You lose two of them to injury. Would you just make an unnecessary like for like substitution in the 50th minute? Would you do that? especially when it looks like the game is going to be going into extra time. When your squad has played 220-minute plus games and you're not touching the ball, you're running around like a headless chicken. Would you just make a simple like for like substitutions, keep the exact same system, not change anything? Where's the logic? Where's the logic? And I saw, okay, you have to do either one of two things. You're either going to say, okay, I'm going to take off Nico and I'm going to put Paredes and Thiago Almada on the pitch just so that I can put as many bodies as I can in the midfield. I'm going to be super narrow, but at least I can give myself a platform where my team can go 10, 15, 20 yards of the pitch and I can have a sustained period of play on the ball because I'm not touching the ball right now. I'm not touching the ball at all. Or I'm going to play with Nico and Simeone so I can have two runners in behind, ask Messi to drop in deep. So when I do actually get the ball and I try to hoof it long, I have the likes of Julian, Nico, and Simeone who can run in behind, and then maybe I can push Cucurella and Pedro Porro back maybe 5-10 yards, and then hopefully once again give myself a platform to move forward. Do one or the other. But you're making like for like substitutions and you're not changing the system at all. I don't understand it. It's like, what are you doing? It's brain dead. It's stupid. And then of course that leads to frustrations because you're not touching the ball. The temper starts to get high. You've been running around at 90 something degree weather for 60, 70 minutes. And so you start getting stupid yellow cards, fighting with the ref. That very first Enzo yellow came because he was protesting the ref. And then we talked about a team that has game management, that has experience, has been there, that's done that, clearly have lost their heads emotionally, have are riled up because they've been chasing shadows for 90 minutes. And then Enzo goes ahead and puts in a stupid tackle in 90 minutes plus stoppage time because miraculously speaking, Argentina is still alive. They're probably going to go into extra time. Spain hasn't really had a clear-cut chance where you think they're going to score. And if it goes to penalties, it's advantage Argentina, only for him to get a stupid sending off. And as stupid as it is from the player, I think it just comes down to the fact that these guys have been chasing shadows for 90 minutes and their head is gone. And I put that down to Scaloni. It's
Yeah, I
crazy,
mean,
man.
I completely agree with you. I mean, like one thing that we could say about this team is because we saw it 4 years ago. They took pretty like it got to a point where they had to win games twice, and we saw it in the game against like the Dutch and against France in the final. And that just shows you how strong mentally they are, because not anybody comes back from that. Where like you have the final right there in your hand, and in 30 seconds it's gone, and they went and they kept playing and they kept playing. What happened with Enzo is what you said. I mean, this guy's running after the ball for 90 minutes. He got to a point where like the commentators were like counting the seconds of how long Argentina could keep the ball. He wouldn't even get to 20 seconds. So I mean, it's 3 p.m. in New York, so it's like you said, it's probably what 95 degrees or something. This guy's been running for 90 minutes after the ball, can't even touch it, can't even hold the ball for 30 seconds. Yeah, I mean, he's frustrated. He sees a ball, he thinks he's gonna win. I mean, do you really think that guy even thought he had a yellow card at that moment? That guy is so confused because he's like chasing shadows for 90 minutes. He just goes in there and he does a stupid challenge and he gets a deserved second yellow. And like you said, that comes down to the coach. Like it gets to a point where I feel like a lot of people are criticizing, and then we could just move past and actually give Spain some, like some flowers they deserve it. I feel like the most criticized player, at least like in this final, was probably like Rodrigo on the ball, and I can't criticize him. From the first moment that this team played that game against Algeria, you saw that this guy was done, that this guy couldn't play. I mean, sadly, I mean, I had to say, I watched Inter Miami games. I watch them because I want to watch Messi because it's the team from the city, whatever. He sucks. He sucks against MLS players. What did anybody think was going to happen in the World Cup? So you take him out against England. You actually play your best game against England,
Yep.
right? Did England help? They probably did. Let's be honest, but still, it's your best game. And then you go in the final and you bring him back on.
I
And this
thought we were
guy's
going to
out
see
here.
the exact same 11. I thought we were going to see the exact same 11
Me too. I have no doubt. Like I completely agree. And then like the guy comes and he's playing for Spain. Like, can
with
I
no
blame
holding
him?
midfielder. It's crazy.
Like, can I sit here and actually blame him when every single game that the Paul played in this World Cup was an absolute joke, and everybody and their mother screaming, "Please take him out! Please take him out! Please take him out!" It gets to the point where I have to look at the coach and say, "You're the dummy for picking him."
100%. Yeah, this is all on
So
Scaloni. This is all on Scaloni. And listen, let's obviously give credit to Spain, right? Spain dominated the ball. They dominated the ball against the French. They dominated the ball against Argentina. They conceded only one goal in the World Cup. It's a team that
Amazing.
had an established philosophy. They knew exactly how they were going to play. We saw it in the last Euros. We spoke about it obviously amongst ourselves, and we said one of the greatest things about the Spanish team, about the Spanish Federation as a whole, is that they have a very clear footballing philosophy. It's 4-3-3. It's total football. It's tiki taka, and these guys have an established playing pattern, and they know exactly how they're going to play. They know exactly what areas of the pitch they need to be at since they're 6 years old. And it doesn't matter whether you have players in the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga. When you get these guys together, there is almost a club-like chemistry because Spanish football and the way to play this game is instructed into you since you are this size. And that is the beauty of Spain. That, let's be real, don't have a lot of star players, especially in the attack, but it's almost impossible to touch the ball. It's why Spain has some of the best managers in the world. It's why Spanish football, especially at the club level, dominates Europe. And the funniest thing is though, Yali, that as great as Spain are, I there's nothing Spain surprised me with. There's not like everything that I knew about Spain, everything that we talked about Spain leading into this, right? A team that's going to have an established style of play. We know exactly how they're going to play. We saw that. A team that's not going to have a lot of goals and is going to struggle against defensive blocks. We saw that. Even in this Argentina game, perfect example. Argentina didn't even have a shot on target, and these guys looked like they were never going to score. And then a Spain that struggled against teams that was going to make things difficult. We saw that against it was obvious because I think had Enzo not got that sending off, they could have played another 3 games. Spain was not going to score if Argentina had 11 men, even with how god awful Argentina was. But ultimately, let's be real, football won, Spanish football won, and they're World Cup champions. And if anything, if there was any team that was going to win it that wasn't Argentina, I'm glad it was Spain because Spanish football, Spanish players, the Spanish style of play is something that both you and I are huge admirers of. And I think a country as big as Spain, should definitely have more than 1 star on the badge. And to see with 2 stars on them now, not just credit to this team, but I think just credit to the Spanish federations, credit to the Spanish players, credit to just Spanish football, Spanish footballing infrastructure, everything from their academies to the clubs to La Liga to their managers. Just, congratulations to Spain all around because if there's one nation that deserves to be considered a big nation, especially when it comes to accolades, it's them. It's them. But there's nothing really about this Spanish team that like really shocked me or surprised me. Like they gave me what I was expecting. It was this Argentina team that just shat the bed at a World Cup final, really.
Yeah, I agree. I would actually even say that they surprised me a lot more in the Euros because we saw a more direct team, like a team like with Nico Williams playing like counter attacking, like even physical at some points. I'm actually kind of disappointed in Argentina and France because they didn't do anything to to sort of like restrict how good they are. If anything, like the only team in this whole tournament that actually played or tried to play to Spain's like weakness was actually Portugal. That was the only team that kind of went out there with 3 good midfielders, all of them in their position. The wingers were like, okay, you're not gonna attack, you're gonna play defense, and we're gonna like sit back. Like Nuno Mendes, you're gonna take care of like Lamine. And then at the end, they score just because they lost like focus for 1 minute, and then like Marino got them in the 90th minute. But that's the only thing that I actually look at and I say, okay, like you lost the game, but you did everything in your power to try to win the game. Whereas I look at Argentina and I say, you did not even do 50%. Same thing with I'm with France. You didn't even do anything to give yourself a chance. So in that sense, I mean, I feel like teams. I mean, like this is gonna sound bad, but I feel like teams kind of gave it to Spain. They like at no point
I
did any
agree.
team actually say, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna challenge you and I'm actually gonna try to at least hurt you, like where you're supposed to be vulnerable. They were all like, made it easy for them, which, like, I mean, at the end of the day, fair play to them. Like you said, they kind of, like, they absolutely, like, deserve it. Huge nation. They're going to have now the World Cup in 4 years. They could definitely go back to back. So
Yep.
that's a scary side for anybody that kind of is hoping to win it in 4 years.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then on top of that, Rodri went ahead and won the player of the tournament, which frankly I disagree with that decision. I think a 39-year-old Messi doing what he did, 8 goals, 4 assists, and I think that final actually showed just how poor that Argentina side was, and the fact that he was. Let's be real. I think this was an even bigger carry job than we saw in 2014, which is
Oh,
crazy to me.
yes.
Like
Yes.
the carrying job that he did at 39 years of age, the fact that he didn't win, the player of the tournament, I think it's an absolute disgrace, and I'm sure that you would agree with me on that. But all we can say about Lionel Messi, it's like 3 World Cup finals, one that, and what's actually crazy. I don't think in any World Cup final that he played in Argentina was actually the favorite, which is actually insane. I think even in the last one, I think probably
Um,
France were the favorites. No,
I think if I'm not mistaken, in the last one it was a pick'em because
yeah,
of just how good he was playing and how good the team actually looked. But yeah, I mean, he was a massive underdog in this final, and then in 2014, he wasn't even close either. So it's kind of yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but like I actually feel that what he did in this World Cup it speaks kind of so bad about his teammates and about his coach that it was like, dude, if you guys were just a little bit better individually, you guys could have actually won this because nobody was expecting this guy to play at this
no,
level at 39
not
years
even
old.
us, not even us.
Yeah, not even us. Like we were all here saying, like this guy's gonna look really bad, like he's gonna drag himself, and yet, I mean, and we could close it out here, Harvey. I mean, other than the two center backs, and even they had like some flaws, like defensively. Who else is a standout in this Argentina team? There isn't a single standout. Whereas you go back 4 years ago, everybody was a standout.
Yeah, Enzo
Literally, everybody was a
McAllister.
standout.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
like the Paul was amazing. Like Di Maria, Julian, the two center backs. Even Donkia Molina like was looking good. Even Dibu, because Dibu was like terrible like the whole tournament except in the final where he almost carried them to that like to that penalty like shootout. But it was like no other stars, and I just feel like they're gonna look back at this in 30 years, and when they go 30 years again without winning a World Cup and say, man, like if we would have just been a little better and like that summer in the US, we could have got another story.
Yeah, but yeah, they're absolutely insane. But congratulations to Spain, World Cup champions, and well deserved. A huge footballing nation, and it's actually good to see that they're getting the accolades and the big trophies that that nation deserves. We had a comment in our last video asking if we were going to continue to do content after the World Cup, and the answer to that is yes, of course. We're going to cover, of course, all all the big games, the big Clásicos, the big clubs across Europe, the big players across Europe. But given the popularity and of the Premier League, the amount of big clubs that are there, the amount of star players that are there, this is going to be a Premier League focused channel. With of course taking a look across Europe on some of the bigger games. We're going to cover the Champions League as well. We're going to take a little break. Now that the World Cup is finally over, it's been a lot of videos and a lot of content with games and everything like that. But probably in about a week or so, we're going to start doing kind of like previews of every single league, like talking transfers, talking about every single club individually, kind of doing a good and the bad and the ugly series, similar to what we did to the World Cup, leading up to the Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, the major favorites in the Champions League to kind of give our thoughts ahead, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is officially the last video of the World Cup that we're going to be doing, and it was kind of our introduction to the channel. We hope that you've been enjoying it. Thank you for those who have commented and liked the video. It helps a lot, and please continue to stick with us for more footballing content. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know your thoughts on that final, and if there's anything in particular that you would like us to talk about or cover in our next few videos, or if you have any ideas as to where the channel should go, we'd love to get your thoughts. And of course, thanks for all the support.